We
Mm-hmm.
have like different types of scholarships that exist in the US,
Yeah.
and a lot of people are of the view that scholarship opportunities are just for like people in the STEM field. But
Mm-hmm.
for you, like you got scholarships out of the STEM field. So
Mm-hmm.
what can you enlighten us on the types of scholarships in the US and how to get them?
Okay, so I think I watched the video between you and Paulina, right? And the episode that Paulina really
Yeah,
talked much more. It's not going to be different from what I'm going to say right now.
yeah.
It's the same thing, right? So the common scholarships that we have here in the US that almost, I should say 99, 90, let's say 98% of international students here are currently, taking advantage of is what you call the graduate assistantship, right? So the graduate assistantship is more or less like you work for the department and they pay your fees and they also give you a monthly stipend for your living expenses, right? So they pay all your fees, your semester fees, and at the end of the day, they're going to pay you some, let's say like $2,000 a month, $2,500 a month, $1,800 a month, depending on whether you're a PhD student or a master's student. So they'll pay you so that at the end of the day you can use that money to also cater for your expenses. So in a nutshell, it's more or less like a fully funded scholarship, right? So that's what a graduate assistantship is basically about. And we have what you call the fellowship. The fellowship is actually more or less given to some extraordinary students, right? So in every institution, only have like one or two fellowship, right? So sometimes it's very difficult to get that one. That's why you don't see most international students getting access to, these scholars. We don't hear international students getting. I only have a friend of mine that's about for at Cornell University who had a fellowship at that time. So that one is more or less like a grant given to
Mhm.
you to learn. You don't work in return for, that package. So it's more like a scholarship given to you, and it only goes to few people, and it's only few that are offered in a university. So we don't end up, irrespective of your credentials, it's likely you are getting a GA much more than a fellowship, right?
Mhm.
So these are the two forms of assistantship that but I want to talk about what the majority of we the international student depend on. That's a graduate assistantship.
Mhm.
So in a graduate assistantship, you have three categories. You have the teaching assistantship, the research assistantship, and the graduate instructive or administrative assistantship, right? So the distance assistantship is whereby you are being taxed to, to undertake a course at the undergrad level. Like you are being taxed to tutor like a teaching assistant at the University of Ghana, K University. It's likely the same thing. It's nothing different from that. So when we are being awarded this position, you'll be taxed to, be a teaching assistant for a particular course. So let's say my professor is currently teaching advanced digital forensics, right? So he can probably tell me that, okay, as a teaching assistant, I should probably go and then, work with and I take the graduate course called, let's say, digital forensic or incident response. So that's what I'll be teaching the students about. So you have to have a prior knowledge about that. And a teaching assistant can also be a lab teaching assistant, right? So a lab teaching assistant is more or less like an instructor at the lab. So for example, if someone did chemistry, they don't really expect you to go to the class. Most of the time you spend your time at the lab. So a chemistry, a biology student, a physics student, you work at a lab. So you'll be helping the undergrad students during their lab sessions. That is a teaching graduate assistant. Sorry, a teaching instructive, assistant at the lab, So that's another form of teaching assistant, right? So these are the various forms of assistantship that we have, right? Now, the next one is research assistant. Research assistant basically means when I came in as a research assistant, right? Because you assist the professor during, like, they always have publications or projects going on. So what you do is that you assist them during, publications, you help them with, let's say, literature review, looking for articles. They are very busy, so you have to help them looking for articles and stuff, helping them draft their literature review. A lot, that they can ask you to. Currently, most of the times you work at home. You don't basically work on campus, right? There are some assistantship positions that can probably make you work both as a teaching assistant and a research assistant, right? So you can find some professors that, if let's say they are out of campus, they are on leave, they can ask you to be a teaching assistant. So sometimes you can be working at both as a teaching assistant and research assistant. This is how it works. So in doing so, the school pays for your tuition, your full tuition, and also gives you a monthly stipend that you can use to pay your rent and other stuff, right? But then there's something called international student fees, which comes to everyone. So that one is much more less, like $1,000 or $2,000, or let's say not about $2,000 a semester. For example, I pay like $1,300 a semester, which I haven't paid to now. So I pay like $1,300. So that's like international student fees. Your computer fees.
Wow.
Sometimes they will just try and find a way to charge you for any reason. So that's not a big deal because imagine they are paying a fees of like, let's say $15,000, $20,000 for
Yeah.
your month, sorry, a semester, and you're just left to pay like 2,000, and you pay this amount of money from your own stipend, you know. So basically, it's like more or less like they just want to take a little from your
For
stipend a
what?
bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so that is how the assistantship scholar works. And a graduate instructive or administrative assistantship is when you decide to work for the library. And I think Elena stressed on that last week. So in this case, it mostly comes from what we call the non-academic assistantship. It's like you're not getting it from your department. You're getting from elsewhere. You can get it at the transport department, the library, the school cafeteria, the kitchen, wherever, right? They also have assistantship positions over there, right? So these are what we call the graduate administrative assistantship positions. Can even work for the school, media group and stuff that they can pay your tuition and also pay you a monthly stipend as well. So these are the various forms of assistantship that you have, especially when it comes to the US. And it applies to everyone, irrespective of whether you're coming from a STEM field or a non-STEM field. It applies to everyone. And the reason why they say the STEM field mostly, have, advantage over the non-STEM students is that the STEM field are really, from what I said, really receives funding a lot. If I don't, if let me compare my previous department to my new department right now. So my current professor actually received a fund of like $12 million right now, and almost every professor that I have right now, you can check on our schools, I receive a fund of let's say $5 million, right, for their project. So in this case, eventually they would have the funds to give it to most students, right,
Yeah.
as an assistantship. Do you get my point?
Yeah.
But then compared to my previous department, I didn't hear any professor having this kind of scholarships, But then obviously, sometimes, so the point is that this assistantship, the source of this fund come from either the school or the professor's fund, right? So imagine the STEM field, like my department example, the professor would have the chance to take students, and the department itself would also have the chance to also employ students. So in this case, they can employ, let's say, 10 people, as compared to a department where their source of GA is only coming from the school.
Yeah.
But not from the professors. So they would be able to, accept a fewer number compared to department that they have professors accepting students themselves and also department supporting them as well.
Yeah.
So that's the difference. That's how come students in the STEM field gets to, get much more assistantship opportunities than those from the STEM area. That's how it works.
Oh,
yes. So I don't know if there's a little more information to that, but this is what I know and this is what I think works for most people. Yes. So so that's how it works for most. And I think if anyone that is coming to the US, irrespective of your program, you only have to up your game. Even if I don't know there's one person that they're going to select, make sure you are on top of your game.
On top of
and
your
I think that you'll be fine. Yeah.
Yeah, and talking about the stipend, is the stipend that they give to the PhDs the same as the ones that they give to the master students, or it's different?
No, it depends, right? So generally, right? Generally, the PhD stipend will definitely go high over the master student.
Yeah.
Right. So it's likely that maybe University of Arkansas master student, you can probably accept like let's say 1,700, 1,500, 1,600. But a PhD student probably accept like 2,000, 2,200 a month. Do you get my point?
Yeah.
Yeah. So generally, but when you're working for some specific lab, right? There's this lab here at University of Arkansas called Cosmos Lab, right? Cosmos. So Cosmos Lab, irrespective of your status, whether you're a PhD or master student, you take the same stipend, right? And especially if it's coming from the same professor. So you probably find yourself in a lab where you are taking the same amount of as a PhD student. But then when it's coming from the department, it's likely that a PhD student will definitely earn higher than a master student. Yeah.
And when it comes to the working hours, are you all allowed to work like 40 hours a week, or it's like half, maybe 20 hours a week, or how is the working hours like? And how do you balance the working as a research assistant or maybe graduate assistant with your PhD, or it's infused together?
Okay, great question. So the working hours, it depends, right? It really depends. So the working hours, generally what the US, immigration law states is for international for you to work 20 hours a week. The only time when you can work 20 hours, more than 20 hours a week, is when you guys are on vacation like this summer, right? But when school is in section, you are only allowed to work 20 hours a week on campus, right? So irrespective of where you find yourself, you work 20 hours a week. But then here's the caveat, right? the point is that you can probably meet a professor that, his work is very intensive, very demanding. Then you don't have a timeline as to how long you work, but they only pay you
Yeah.
20 hours a week. Yes. So by law, you're supposed to work 20 hours a week, but when you find yourself at Cosmos, you go from 9 in the morning to 5, from Monday to Friday. The professor doesn't care, you know. So the 20 hours is more than the 20 hours that you're working for, but on paper you're working 20 hours a
20
week.
hours, yeah.
So it depends on the hands that you find yourself in, you
Yeah.
know, and how maybe their line of research work is. So on
Okay.
paper, you're supposed to work 20 hours a week.
And how do you balance it? Because for me, like this, with my PhD,
Mm,
it's like I'm
mm,
working 40 hours, like I'm a researcher, but I'm
mm,
working towards like getting results towards my PhD. Is it the
mhm.
same as you? Like, are you working 20 hours towards getting your
Okay.
results, or like you are just working 20 hours for the department as maybe a teacher, or yeah.
Okay, so currently with my role, I'm a currently lab assistant, right? So as a research as a GA. So my professor herself is currently getting a PhD as well. you know, so he's also into the research as well. So I don't work on a research based base with her, but I assist her with the undergrad students that at their lab sessions. So if they have any lab that they do, that is how what I do. So basically, I mostly have the time to do my own thing, right? Our
Okay.
lab session is only on like Mondays. Last semester was Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays,
Mm-hmm.
right? So we only have to go to the lab and make sure when they come, they don't have any, their virtual machine is actually working properly. They have any difficulty, I just call the technical support to come and help them out.
Yeah.
That's what I do. And then I grade as well. So when
Mm-hmm.
they are done, I grade their exams, their final exams, their assignments and stuff. So that's what basically it wasn't really that much of intensive thing. And
Yeah.
let me say this, right? It's always best to have an American, professor. An
Mm-hmm.
American professors, they don't stress you out. They are, I don't know for I've had experience with Indian professors and they are crazy. So crazy in the sense that they want you to go to the mad, they don't give you the
See,
chance.
yeah.
You didn't even have the chance to do whatever. But if you meet an American professor, trust me, it's the best you can ever get in life. They give you the liberty, and please make sure you don't take their liberty to be their weakness. I'm begging you. Try as much as to make sure I don't know you are doing the work, right?
Yeah.
Always try to impress them, and they will give you a lot of opportunities. So
Yeah.
with my work, that is how. But like you said, imagine you working like 40 hours a week
Yeah.
on a risk assessment. It might probably be the same thing for someone. So
Mm-hmm.
irrespective of the professor that you find is try and then make sure you do your best to make sure, you leave because a PhD itself is very, I
It's,
haven't really gotten myself into the deeper side yet because I'm still, drafting my proposal and stuff. But I still think it's going to be the same,
yeah.
because it's not going to be anything different from what I'm doing. Maybe one thing that will probably kick in, maybe that I'm expecting to happen, is the fact that I might probably be transferred to taking a lot of courses for the undergrad level. That's what I'm looking forward to because there isn't so much professors at my department right now,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm looking forward to become a professor right after when I finish here. So I just want to take those kind of routes as soon as possible.
As soon as
That's what
possible.
I want to take it upon myself to do. So aside that, I think it's easy, especially when you're working with a professor, an American professor. It's always I don't know anyone that complains that American professor is very lazy, and so I've never come across any of my colleagues complaining about having an American professor. Yeah.
Nice. This is Lois says this is coded rough. I get plenty talk. Okay. So, I think we've talked about the third question. I think the question four, which is about how early should prospective applicants start preparing, and does the full timeline from research to acceptance look like? I think the first point you've already answered it. That through your introduction, you mentioned that you have to apply as soon as possible, start preparing as
Mhm,
soon as you can. But what's the
mhm.
timeline from research to acceptance? How does it look like from research, from like applying, researching, applying, and being accepted, and even applying for your visa?
So usually, it depends on the academic period that you're targeting. If you're targeting fall or spring, right? So imagine, let's say you are targeting fall of next year. let's say fall of this year is out because already in July. So
Yeah.
obviously fall of this year is out. So you're targeting fall of next year. You need to start your research by now, at now, right? You need to start looking for the school. So currently I'm working with the University of Ghana, current students that completed with their bachelor's degree and helping them out, But then their target is next year or fall. So you have actually started the research right now, looking for schools, looking at professors, drafting their research interest, finding the right schools to apply to. So you do all this basic research right maybe in the middle of, let's say, June, July.
Yeah.
Then you send in the code emails this time, starting from this time, sending the code emails based on the positive or the negative response that you get. You decide on which schools to apply to. So by September, right,
Mm-hmm.
the application cycle for next year for opens. That's this year, this year September. So this year September, you're targeting, let's say, 2027 for September, October, say from August, September, October, the application cycle will open at that time, right? And then eventually you start, putting the application, maybe the late time for you to submit your application should probably be February,
Mm-hmm.
right? Even though some of the schools have their deadline even through to May, May or like June, but don't do that because you know what? Most schools that I've come across happens to award their scholarships right in the middle of, let's say, March. Some even early March, right? Or even in the middle of February. So you don't want to submit your application based on
Very
the deadline, the
great.
stipulated
Yeah.
deadline on the website. But in order for you to position yourself, I always say that don't position yourself for admission alone. Position yourself for funding because admission is very easy to get. So in
Yeah.
order for you to stand a chance of getting admission, even if you didn't do any search, right? If you want the admission committee to consider your application automatically, without not doing you contacting professors or anything, try and submit your application latest by February.
Mm.
Because most of the decisions are made regarding to funding are made during, from March to, let's say, April latest. Yes. So this is a timeline. This is how so right now, let's say if you're targeting fall of 2027, start your research right now, start looking for the schools, contacting professors at this time, preparing your materials. And if you're applying for a PhD, most of the deadlines are in December.
Mhm.
That's a year before the start program. Sorry, a year, months before the start program. Most of the deadlines are in December. So the latest deadline for any PhD program that I know of is probably 15 February.
Okay.
So most of the deadlines are in December 1st. So if you're looking for a PhD, now is the time for you to submit your application as soon as possible. But if you're looking for masters, that's the following year, that's the same year, the same academic year, that's fall of 2020. Start your application right now and put in your application latest by February, 2027. Yeah, so that's the deadline that you need to watch out for.
Okay. Okay. And when it comes to, let's say, in your introduction, you mentioned something about your GPA and all those.
Mhm,
And
mhm,
when it comes to the GPA and English
mhm,
proficiency, are there like
mhm.
thresholds that like if you don't get a specific GPA or you don't get a specific English score, you will be automatically be disqualified from the process, or they have some allowance for that, or there is this special rule? Like, are there any special rules to that? Is there a rule of thumb?
I like this question, and I know this word, and we are 23 here right now, right? I know by the time I finish saying this, probably you probably end up with maybe five or two, because yes, I like this question a lot. I'm against the fact that I'm against lower GPAs, to be honest with you. But I think everyone has their own way. Things do happen on campus.
Yeah.
But I have a very weird, kind of opinion when it comes to GPA. We all struggled when you're back home in campus. So I don't think as long as you had the mentality or you had the energy to stay to learn or to study, you should probably end up getting a very bad GPA.
Yeah.
So I'm strongly against a very bad GPA. I'm strongly against that. I don't think that, but situations does happen, right? And
Yeah.
sometimes you need to give this considerations. But listen, trust me, the reason why most people don't end up getting positive response from their professors is the fact that their GPA doesn't really look very good. Imagine a professor wants to employ you as a teaching assistant for a particular course, right? Let's say abnormal psychology. And in your undergrad, you had, let's say, a D in abnormal psychology. And let's say in that very department, they are only looking for a teaching assistant, one teaching assistant that can probably help the professor in that area. How would you stand a chance of getting this assistantship?
Yeah.
Okay, so imagine you want to become a teaching assistant, right? At a very particular department. And imagine, let's say, the professor wants to fund you himself. and happens to open your transcript, right, and see, let's say, a GPA of, let's say, 3.5, 3.2, 3.2, which is good, but see someone with a GPA higher than that, do you expect that professor
3.8.
to? It's
No.
not going to happen like that. And let me be honest with you, right? Professors are very obsessed with GPAs, and especially if you're coming from University of Ghana or Kano West, they are very obsessed with it. I can share my screen and show you, right? There was this one professor that told me that this is how I end up getting a PhD at Georgia State, right? When I reached out to the professor told me that if you have a GPA of 3.5, he's willing to talk to you. My GPA is 3.67, right? 3.67 at University of Ghana, which is not bad in at least a comfortable first class to,
Yeah.
just to be with. But my point is that imagine, let's say I had a GPA lower than that. There's no way I would have worked an opportunity in front of this professor. And they will not say this on their website. They will not say this anywhere. Right, but they have, trust me, subjectively they are very obsessed with it. They will eventually look at your GPA and be like, okay, in fact, you stand a better chance of getting it, right? And let me be honest with you, anyone that applied with a lower GPA, if you hear that, it's a very long story. I'm being honest with you, it's a very long. They did that. You see, I always have the funny thing that they say. Those that have very lower GPA are the ones with the best SOPs. Those that have the very lower GPAs, they're the ones with the best CVs, because to them everything counts.
Yeah.
Do you get my point? To them everything counts. So it eventually ends up being that I always say this on my TikTok platform that people don't agree with. That if you have a lower GPA, you're just polluting the market. Don't come and pollute the market for those of us that have the best GPAs, right? But my point, what I'm trying to say is that GPA really counts, right? It really counts. So irrespective of GPA, try as much as possible, because those that have assisted so far, right? I always find it very easy if they always have a good GPA.
Good GPA.
Trust me. Yeah, because when I reach out to professors, imagine you are telling me you have this social experience, you have this, but what is the undeniable document that I can look at to prove that indeed this research that you said you have is true. This experience that you said I have, it's your GPA.
Yeah.
It's your transcript. Do you get my point? It's a transcript. So professors ask themselves these questions. That, okay, you are saying you have this experience, you're saying you have this. What do I have to need to guarantee to look at to guarantee the fact that, of course, these experiences that you said you have is true? Do you get my point? And they probably go and look at your GPA before they can even reach out to you for a Zoom meeting.
Yeah.
Do you get my point? So GPA really matters. People will say, oh, your GPA doesn't really matter. Trust me. Yes, we've seen stories of people saying they have a lower GPA, they end up getting scholarship. You've seen stories of people saying they have this, they have GPA of 2.5, they end up getting scholarship. But listen to that story. Do you want to go through the same story?
It's a long route.
It's a long route. It's a long route. And besides, if you end up getting it, fine.
Yeah.
But for me, it's not my side of the story.
Well, I like how you are not sugarcoating it. Like you are saying it.
No, I don't want to sugarcoat it.
Yeah. If you have plans of actually furthering your education, I think that you have to also because that's the reason why you want to further it. If your GPA is not really that good, I don't think that you would stand a chance for someone whose GPA is like 3.9 or 3.8. Like even those who have 3.6 are actually.
And sorry to cut in, right? Let's say for the fact that you have a good GPA doesn't mean you also get scholarship, right?
Yeah.
Trust me, the ones with a good GPAs can sometimes end up being very stupid, right? Thinking that their GPAs will probably sail them through, but it doesn't always work like that.
Yeah.
It gives you the leverage to be able to appeal to professor.
Exactly.
So it doesn't mean if you have a good GPA, it places you. Look at the work that I put in.
Yeah, but
it. Yes,
exactly. But I think that the GPA also it's a very strong point. It's
really
a
lot of Yes, it really matters.
And you have to also be outstanding in other areas. You have to also
in other areas as well.
Like volunteering and networking. Like if you are not able to approach your professor or send cold emails, I'm not sure you'll be able to create these opportunities for yourself. So you have to be very versatile, like very, how would I put it, enthusiastic and strategic like you, like to get such opportunities. So yeah, I agree with the GPA aspects and also.
Yeah, I agree. I'm a strongly good GPA believer. So I don't know if someone will side with me, but let me offer this on a side spot for those of us. I don't think anyone of us are a first class, or a second class upper. I always say if you have a GPA of let's say 3.3 on a scale of 4.0 going, it positions you into any grad program, right? It doesn't make your academic credentials becomes questionable, or credibility becomes questionable. But if you have a GPA lower than that, there's something that we call worst evaluation, right? that you can do to boost your GPA. So imagine, let's say you have a GPA of 2.5, 2.6, 2.3. I remember this current students that I'm helping in the University of Ghana. There's this lady that has a GPA of 2.8, right? 2.8. So and she's very, 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 very serious. And I'm taking that aspect of her, right? To say, okay, fine, you can have a GPA, but as long as you are serious and want to pursue this, don't want to give up, do what you call a transcript evaluation. It's done by some transcript, basically converting your GPA, your academic qualification from the Ghanaian standard to the US standard, right? So, for example, in Ghana, to the University of Ghana, for you to get an A, it's 80 to 100, but in the US, it's 70. So when they evaluate it to the US standard, it boosts your GPA. So the courses that you had 80 or 70, it makes the course that you had A or a B, it can make you get an A in your current GPA. So that's what currently happens with the transcript. So it's done by what you call the West Evaluation Service. That's World Education Service. So you can do a transcript evaluation to boost your GPA. The next thing is that you need to write what you call the GRE, right? The GRE. The GRE or the GMAT, irrespective of whether you want to do an MBA, it's called GMAT. GRE is for Graduate Record Examination. So you got a GRE, it allows you sometimes, things do happen, right?
Yeah.
So look at the story where you are. If you are saying, oh, when you were on campus, you had some inconveniences, your parents were this, your life was this, that, okay, right now, you are done with school. Go and write a GRE and get a very good score. That will suffice for your lower GPA. So when the professor is looking at your GPA, they will probably say, oh, even though you had a GPA of, let's say, 2.5, you had a GPA of, let's say, 2.0, 2.7, but you had a very good score in your GRE, then they can consider your GRE ahead of your GPA. So this is how it works. I don't know if it makes answer the question. Yeah. So these are what you can do to and if you have a GPA of 3.6, 3.7, 3.8, right? Do these things as well. You can also do your evaluation to also set you, at a higher level. At a very highest or at the highest level. So you can do a GRE, write a GRE on top of that, right? Because during my time it was a COVID time, so they waived the GRE.
Oh, nice.
So maybe during your time, there's no GRE waiver for you. You can still write a GRE to boost your chances. Imagine having a very good GPA plus GRE. Trust me, you'll be on top. So these are what you can do to boost yourself during the application cycle.
What about the English proficiency? Because I know that most universities will ask for like your English proficiency certificate, or you have to write. I've forgotten the name because I'm not learning English now, but I know you have to write some certificate, get a certain is it TOEFL? I don't know. But what about
Okay, sure. So this is very interesting, right? So the IELTS, I don't know how you call it, IELTS, TOEFL and stuff, right? These things are not really, much needed in the US institution, most of the US institutions, trust me. They will never ask you for these things. Especially if you are coming from Ghana. Ghana is an English-speaking country, right? And the strongest ally of the US in the West African Sahara, to be specific. So they know that, of course, if you're coming from the University of Ghana, they've had instances of people from the University of Ghana coming to their school without this English. They don't know if we speak good English. We are English-speaking country, so they will not expect this thing from you. Okay. But for someone coming from, let's say, a place like, let's say, Ivory Coast, and a Francophone country, or let's say a Lusophone country, then obviously they will demand these kind of materials from you. But for Ghana, if you are targeting the US specifically, you don't really need to worry about these things. Even if they ask for it, right, you can send them an English proficiency letter from your respective institution, like let's say University of Ghana, University, or whatever. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So that's also clear. And what are the documents that we need for applications? I know that if you are into the scholarship journey, it should be natural for you to know these documents, but maybe there is an exception in USA, or there are certain documents that you have to add that maybe you could enlighten us on, or just throw more light on.
So the documents that you need to secure funding?
Yeah, for your application, scholarship, and also the admission, right? Like, what are the documents?
Very, very good question, right? So let's say you are targeting a teaching assistantship position, right? A teaching assistantship position, you need to have a very strong GPA, because they look at some of the courses that you did, or a very strong grade in the courses that you want to be a teaching assistantship in, right? So let's say they look at your GPA. So if you make sure that if you have a very good GPA, stand a chance of getting a assistantship. A lot. because maybe they will look at your GP and they will see you have, let's say, an A in, let's say, research methods, an A in this. So they'll be like, oh, okay, imagine you stand in terms of, I mean, being a very good candidate for this position. And so you should probably make sure you have a very good SOP as well. You elaborate much more in your SOP, what some of the experiences that you had as a teaching assistant, and how you eventually getting an A in this course, and what you have eventually done after, following your completion of your bachelor's degree, your teaching assistant right now. You throw more light on these experiences as a teaching assistant, right? In your SOP and your CV as well. If you are targeting a research assistantship position, talk much more about your research. Contact professors, right, about your research interests who are currently working within the same domain, right? About this, what you want to do. This, so this is how you write an article. You leverage on your thesis a lot.
Yeah.
So this is how you can leverage. You can probably position yourself to get a assistantship. Now, let's say you didn't have any of this experience, but you've actually worked at the library. You've probably had some students in leadership positions, right? You can reach out to the students, residents, department, the transport department, whatever. You used to be the driver's mate during the school shuttle, back home at University of Ghana. You can leverage on that to reach out to the transport service to see if they have some assistantship opportunities over there. So it depends on the materials that you have and how you can elaborate much more on that in your SOP or whoever that you are sending the email to make sure, okay, this is experience that I have and this is what I think I qualify for this position or you should consider me for this position. So that's how it works.
Nice. And when it comes to, I think, the recommendation letters, some or most students complain that when they reach out to their professors, they don't know how to approach their professors for recommendation letters because maybe they didn't really have a good network or rapport with their professors. So let's say I'm a bachelor student and I'm in level 400. I want to do my master's in the US and I'm very quiet in class. My professor doesn't know my name or anything.
Yes.
How do I get recommendation letters for my professor? And how do I even identify the professor I would want to get recommendations letter from? Like, how do I go about it?
So, sometimes you go about, blaming the professor so much. Sometimes you all need to share the blame together, right? Yeah, because look at the student faculty ratio in Ghana right now. One lecturer to, let's say, 800 students. So you wouldn't be able to familiarize yourself as a professor to all the students, or the students wouldn't be able to. It's not the professor wouldn't even get to know you. Let's say they can probably be in class with you from level 100 to level 400, but they'll never get to know of your name. Do you get my point? Because the student faculty ratio is very, very it doesn't. It's not proportionate. Do you get my point? So this is what you do, right? Personally, this is what I did. I knew that was going to be a problem. So during my national service, I asked for 2 weeks leave, right, on campus. This is a strategy that you can use irrespective of how you find yourself. You are finding this as a problem, right? So you don't have to sit back home, back in the comfort of your room, right, and be sending WhatsApp messages. Hi, professor, I'm applying to this. Can you send me a recommendation? They are not going to do it.
Yeah.
You don't have to send it. They're not going to. So make a very, very deliberate effort to go on campus. So I went on campus, right? And before I went on campus, I already had all my schools intact, had all my materials intact. So I said to myself that I'm going to apply to these schools while I'm on campus. So a friend of mine at Iowa University at that time was doing a teaching assistant. Was actually undertaking a service on campus at that time. So I went to his end, slept there for 2 weeks, and I was going to the professors back and forth. Hey, professor, I've applied to this school. Can you help me with the recommendation letter? And the next day I'll come to your office. The next day I'll come. I did this till they submitted all my recommendation letter before I left campus. So that was a deliberate effort that I did because I knew that was a problem. Do you get my point? So you don't sit in the comfort of your home and send emails or WhatsApp messages to these people. They're not going to respond to you. And guess what? Irrespective of this same energy, I still ended up getting professors who didn't send the recommendations letters. So, but eventually I end up getting to the schools that eventually I wanted to go. So make it a deliberate effort that okay, try as what would be the most convenient way to get a recommendation submitted. And what I did was I asked for permission, a 2-leave permission for my work, and went to campus, stay there, apply to the schools. Because guess what? You don't want to apply to the schools and come back maybe a month after and say, "Oh, professor, I've also found another school." They will not do it. So apply, know the schools that you're applying to, send all the schools to them at the very moment you write instantly. Okay, these are the schools I'm applying to, so that they will have the chance to do it at once for you. Else, if you do it to one, the next day you send them, "Oh, Professor Lois, I'm applying to this school again." Trust me, maybe you might be at a conference, you might be at someone else, right? That you'll not be able to reach out to them, or they might not be able to do it. So when you add them in one moment, make sure you have all your schools intact and submit everything once and for all. So that's what I did.
Okay.
So when I went to them, I'm like, "These are the schools I'm applying to," and they'll be like, "Okay, fine, I'll submit it the next day." And if I see that they've not submitted, I'll go back to them. So I did it for 2 solid weeks. And eventually I ended up getting most of my recommendations submitted for the most part that I needed, So there's a strategy that you can actually put in place to do it.
Okay.
There are some of them that are very lenient, and take advantage of some of your friends that are currently on campus. If you're not convenient to campus, there are some of your friends that are currently living on campus, right? That you can reach out to them to also help. These are what you call the academic recommendations. Now, we have the professional recommendations as well. But if you are applying to a program like a PhD program, right? A professor once told me that if they see their fellow, colleague recommending a student to them, into a PhD program, they know that the students are already been vetted, right? So they don't really, question the students that much. So recommendation letters really matters, especially at the PhD level. I'm talking about academic recommendation, right? So irrespective of your program, try as much as possible to find a professor to recommend you. Don't depend on the professional recommendation. That's the ones coming from your supervisors at work and it matters, but at least be 1 or 2 be right. But don't really depend. Try as much as to get an academic recommendation. And another thing, make sure these academic recommendations are sent through what you call institutional email. Institutional emails are not the normal Google email. They're not the normal Yahoo email. They are the emails like, okay, Baba at queensuniversity.edu. These are verified. These are because they know that you guys are very smart into creating your own email letters using your own email account, using someone's, a forged recommendation and submit on behalf of,
the professor,
on behalf of yourself, or on behalf of the professor that you are, So they know this, right? So that's why sometimes you see on their website that we don't accept any email from Yahoo or Google, Gmail. So try as much as possible. These, even if they are professional recommendation letters, try as much as possible they are coming from, what do you call it?
Institutional
email.
Yeah.
And there are some professors that also use the normal Gmail and Google Gmail. So that's what you do, right? Some professors that I know, my previous supervisor from Dr. Jonathan used to do it, right? They use Gmail. So for you to avoid yourself that, try also get another professor that has institutional email. Do you get my point?
Yeah.
In addition to that. So this is how you can strategize yourself when you are sending the emails to the professors. Yeah. And can I just get a second for a water?
Yeah, sure. Okay, so as Edmond is having his hydration break, you can put your questions in the comment section, and we would also have a demonstration session soon. So yeah. And those of us on Facebook, let's get interactive. We have our members there that if you ask questions, we would put it here so that we can ask them for you. I think that before we continue with the questions, I think we should chip in the demonstration session. I think,
sure.
Yeah, Lois has actually informed you about it. So we'll be doing a demonstration session on how to normally apply for scholarship and admission. So yeah, you can kindly go ahead.
Yeah, can you see my screen right now?
Yeah, we can see your screen.
Okay, great. So this is a demonstration of how you can start from afresh. And I want to make sure I make my demonstration very simple. The first thing that you need to do is that you need to look at, first of all, before you even decide to go on a website to look for any school, you need to ask yourself this question, right? What program do I want to pursue, right? What do I want to study? What programs aligns with my bachelor's degree? So imagine, let's say, someone that is um wants to do masters, right? Wants to study masters. You ask yourself, okay, what are some of the programs that I want to study? So this will determine the schools that you have to go and look for, or the program that you want to study would lead you to the schools that offer this program of your choice, right? So you need to ask yourself this question. So let's say, imagine I want to study, let's say, a program, let's say, information science. That's what I want to pursue, right? Now, the US has so many schools, a lot, thousands of schools, right? So you wouldn't go by just looking into any school. So what one thing you can do right now is that this is something I'm showing you, right? So let's look at the US map as here. This is the US map. So this is a current US map, right? So if you take a look at this map, I hope can you guys all see the arrow here, where the arrow is pointing towards?
Yes, yes, please. We can
You,
see
you can
the
see the arrow, right? Okay,
yeah,
great.
yeah.
So this is the East Coast, right? Usually, I don't advise people to look into this school. So imagine, let's say, right now we have our program that we want to pursue. That's information science, right? And I'm looking for schools that offer these programs in the US. Okay. So normally, usually, I advise students to look at the southeastern part or the southwestern part of the US within this area, right? These areas are the areas that most international students can be found. And most of the institutions here in the US have scholarships. Now, these areas do have scholarship, but trust me, their living expenses is very high to the point that sometimes you don't award scholarship students that much. Do you get my point? So if you are really put much less energy at this area, but look for schools that surrounds around this area in the middle of this side. So for example, if let's say you are someone that is interested in getting a scholarship or schools that offer a lot of scholarship, I'll look at states like, let me mention my state first, Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, Kentucky, Illinois, Iowa, Kansas, Nebraska, Colorado, New Mexico, Texas, Georgia a lot, Florida, South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia, and guess what? Illinois, Indiana, Ohio. This is West Virginia, Virginia. These are the areas that, trust me, if you know any international, you'd likely find them within this area. But from this side going, it's kind of like yeah, an interesting place though. But most of the schools out there, since they are very expensive and they don't really pour so much into giving international students a lot of funding. But you have students over there who are currently studying there as well. So channel much more of your energy into this section of the US right now. Okay, so you have our program here, that's information science. You want to look into schools that is within these domains that offer information science program. The easiest way to do this is to use what you call, let's say, the AI tools. Employ this AI tool a lot, right? So, okay, you go to AI school now. You have something that we call state by state, right? So you pick, let's pick 5 states, right, and look into schools that definitely offer information science program. Now, the state by state search, right? In a state, you can find, let's say, 20 universities in a state. I don't want you to go by looking for 20 universities. Now, since I have the experience, I want to tell you that when you take a look at every state, look at what you call the state universities or the public universities in the state, or even sometimes the private universities, which is fine. But when I say the state university, like let's say University of Louisiana, they have University of Louisiana, Louisiana State University, and let's say Louisiana State University has somehow, it could be a city in Louisiana. So let me use Arkansas, for example. You have University of Arkansas. The University of Arkansas at Little Rock. These are the two top universities in Arkansas, right? Then you have other sub campuses like University of Arkansas at Fort Smith, University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff, University of Arkansas at, let's say, I think there's one that starts with G and I've forgotten about the name, but anyway, that's fine. So you look at the top universities in every state. So for example, I can go to, let's say, let's use a state like, let's say, Oklahoma, right? So Oklahoma is probably found at the southeastern part, right? So first of all, you want to use AI tool. So let's use ChatGPT. You want to use ChatGPT here. So we are doing our state by state system. We have our program, right? So we say, okay, let's say list all the universities. Let's say all the universities that offer, let's say, information science at Oklahoma State.
University
Oklahoma
that
State.
science.
At Oklahoma State. Okay. So let's see. Okay, I did masters. Let's say masters. I'm sorry. Let's stop here. Let's say masters, MS in info science. So you find all the universities that offer information science here. So let me use my school as an example. Let me use my state as an example. I think that would be very simple for me to do. Let's say Arkansas, right? All right, Arkansas. Let's see. So you see exactly what I said. So we've seen all the schools that offer information science in Arkansas, right? Here. So these are all the schools that you find in respective of what your program. Because in this case, I didn't limit myself to looking for all programs. Or first of all, you need to have your program in mind. Go to the state that I showed you and just use this Google search. So this Google AI or Google search to look for these universities. And I have all these universities in place. You have University of Arkansas at Little Rock. Data science, cybersecurity, anything else in information science, data science, cybersecurity, database system, privacy, information visualization, whatever. PhD route. You have University of Arkansas as an example. So it's likely that you find the top 2 universities in every school. So you look at them, right, and be like, okay, I think these are the programs that they offer with respect to the program that maybe I want to, study. Then what's the next thing that you need to do? Right now, you can go to their website, right, and read about, let's say, the program's requirements, if indeed you fall within the demands that they are looking out for. So, for example, let's say I want to go to, let's say, you take the schools one by one, right? Then you decide to, okay, this is where most of the parts or most of the work is. Because imagine you going through all the schools in every state is really one of, hell of a work. But then it's very easy to do it because at the end of the day, these AI tools are here to help you out. So you go to the program's website to read about what the program's actually demanded. So you can use this AI search to do, okay, can you maybe give me, let's say, a link to their program website, right? So with this advanced AI tools, they'll be able to give you a link directly to the program's website, right? So let's see what it gives us, right? Okay, great. So we have a link to this program's website. So you just have to go here. Let's see if it will need, you see. So it will directly lead you to the program's website and the kind of, you see, Masters in Information Science. That's the program I want to pursue. And right now, let's go and look at their program requirements or the admissions requirement website. Now, if you're very good at navigating schools' websites, it's fine. You can probably go and look at their requirements by yourself. So let's see, I myself, or maybe I'm very good at navigating the school's website. So I can go here, come to information science. Sorry, let me go back here. PhD in information science track. I can come here, maybe there's my track. I can look into this and look at what their program admission requirements are, right? So admission requirements, I don't know why it's taking too much time. So yes, so you see all the admissions requirements here, a transcript, a PhD, a GRE, you see all the admission requirements right here, right? Then you read about them and see, okay, what are some of the materials that you need to, get before you can apply to the school? What materials do you have right now? What is your current GPA? Do you need to write a GRE and stuff, right? So that's how you navigate to the school's website to find your program and also read about your program's requirement on the school's website. Now, imagine, let's say you are finding it very difficult to navigate to find the program's requirements. You can ask the AI to specifically that, okay, I want a link. Let's say I want a link directly to, let's say the program's admission requirement, right? And let's see what it does. So great. You see, so the chat would be able to give you a link leading you to the admission requirement itself. Let's see if it's true. Great. So you see, now we have the link to it, right? You just have to click on admission requirement and there you go. So this is how you use AI tools. You use, the strategy that I showed you, especially those that are targeting US right now, the states that you need to look out for and why these states, offer a lot of opportunity for international students. So the state most of the states in the southeastern part of the US has a lot of scholarship for students, and look at least the top 5 universities in every state, right? So as soon as you picked a state, I picked Georgia State, I picked Georgia. Can you give me the top 5 universities in Georgia? So it's likely they will give you Georgia Tech University, Emory, Georgia State, and let's say Kennesaw or University of Georgia, and let's say Kennesaw. These are the 5 top state universities in Georgia right now. So then you take them one by one. Then you navigate your way into their program website. I mean, depending on the program that you want to pursue. First of all, have your program that you want to pursue in mind first before you end up going to this search at all. So now, imagine, let's say, okay, right now we have our program. You've seen the schools that offers our program, let's say University of Arkansas. Right now, I want to know if, let's say, okay, I know I have the bachelor's degree that they are asking for. I have the GRE that they are asking for. They have the SOPs that they have. I have the recommendation that you're asking for. How do I know if they offer assistantship? That's a question that you need to ask yourself. And if you already dive much more deeper into assistantship, so I don't want to go back to it. How do I know if they have a research assistantship position? How do I know if they have, let's say, a teacher assistantship position, right? In my department, right? So in any case, you can try and navigate your way out on the school's website to find this, right? So on every school's website, right, they have what you call the search button there. So you can go to the search button and say, let's say assistantship, positions, and you can add what you call, let's say, information science, your program, information science. You're looking for any information, right? And let's see. I don't know what's happening. All right. I don't think. Okay, let's see. Let's see. Let's try only assistantship positions and see. I don't know what is happening to this website, but anyway, let's use this on the school's website, right? So if let's say if it's not working like mine, we can go to the same ChatGPT, right? So we can select our school. Okay, right now I'm looking at University of Arkansas at Little Rock. I want to know if within this program they have assistantships available, right? Let's see if it has already opened. Great, it has opened, right? So let's see assistantships. So this information is first of all telling you that okay, this school offer what you call assistantship, right? Now let's see if indeed my program they offer these assistantships over there. We can go to the same GPT and ask her like, hey, do they? Let's say there's UALR, that's the University of Arkansas Little Rock, has, let's say, GA positions, GA for the program. Let's see what Chat will give us right now. Yes, ChatGPT is actually giving you, telling you first of all that they have, and you can dive deeper and ask him for a link, but obviously they are asking you, ChatGPT is already giving you these links, right? So let's try this link and see. Cosmos, this lab that I just mentioned, right? So you see, Cosmos under the information science department has a lot of assistantship over there. So imagine, let's say you were not able to find all this information online. Who can I ask that please or to verify that indeed they have assistantship? There are 2 people that you can contact, right? They are who we call the graduate director or the graduate coordinator. They are the ones that have been specifically tasked to help students that are applying with any information that they need. They are professors themselves, right? But they have a different role as a graduate director or graduate coordinator. So they have at their disposal every information that you need. So imagine, let's say you didn't find any information on their website about their assistantship. You don't know whether indeed they have assistantship or not, or even during this camp for they have assistantship available. You can go on the school's website and then ask them these questions, right? So how do you find these graduate coordinators? That leads to my let's go. You can ask the ChatGPT, right? Who is the graduate director for the, let's say, information science P at UALR? Add the available contact info. So let's see. You see, I don't know who this is, but in the tech field, we always find these people like that. So these are the respective graduate coordinators. So imagine, let's say you don't have any information about whether they have assistantship or there's something that's bothering you. Maybe you read on their school's website and they're saying that they didn't even indicate whether they want GRE or not. They didn't even say the kind of GPA that they're looking at. So imagine you have all these questions in your mind. These are the respective people that you can go and then ask them. Now, the reason why you are doing this, I always advise you ask these questions is that, or you message these people is that sometimes, even though they will state on the school's website that they have assistantship available, but maybe that particular semester that you're targeting, they might not have some funding available. Do you get my point? So it's up to you to go online, look for these people, and ask them this. So you can just go online and ask them, okay, please, do you have any assistantship available? Do you have any? I read on your school's website that you actually accept a GRE. So imagine, let's say, I have a GP of, let's say, 3.97. I have a GP of 3.8. Do I still need to submit a GRE? You can ask them these questions, because I've seen people that have applied to my department that didn't have, let's say, a GRE, but because of their GPA, they were able to waive their GRE for them. But it is not stated on their website, so it's upon you to go and look for these people to ask them these questions. So this is where your ability to think comes in. I cannot tell you everything. I mean, I'm probably escape a lot of things here, but I'm just trying to show you the steps, so I cannot tell you the exact questions that you need to ask them. So when you read about the school's requirements, right, then you will decide, okay, what are some of the questions that I need to ask so they are saying that they want a GRE score. Maybe for all you know, with a GP of, let's say, 3.9, you don't need to submit a GRE. So you can ask them that I have a GP of 3.9, I have a GP of 3.8. Do I still need to submit a GRE? Do you get my point? Maybe for all you know, they don't even they are saying recommendations, right? 3 recommendations. But maybe it might be okay to send in 2. Or sending, let's say 1. They are saying someone that has a published papers, but maybe you don't have a published paper. You don't have any, but you have an article, you have a thesis. You can just tell them, you can ask, okay, I've seen on your website that you stated that, someone that is applying to the PhD program should have a published paper. But then please, can I apply with my let's say my undergrad thesis? You can ask these questions, and the right people to ask them are what you call the graduate coordinators or the grad directors. And this is how you can find them, right? Now, ChatGPT can be very wrong. That's why it has been written here. ChatGPT can make mistakes. So it's upon you to verify that, okay, indeed, if these emails are true. So what you can do is you can copy this, right, the person's name, and go to an open, search browser and just paste it and add the person's name, or you can add the school, ULR, and the person will pop up. So this will take you directly to the person's profile on the school's website. So you see, this is the email here. Are you getting it? So this is how you locate these private coordinators. And now, imagine, let's say you've sent them an email, you've read about the school's website. Now, you see, this is where you call the primary search, right? Now, depending on the information that you will get, will let you say, now, let's say you've had tens of schools right now, you have thousands of schools right now. You have looked for, let's say, Iowa, you have looked at Oklahoma, Missouri, Illinois. You have all our schools right now. You have, let's say, 20 schools on our plate. You don't know which schools to apply to. Now, the emails that will come from these professors would allow you to shrink your schools. So imagine, let's say, the professor tells you, or the the director tells you that, okay, you need to have a GRE before you apply, irrespective of your GPA. You also don't want to write the GRE. Then you can also say that, okay, well, then this school is out of my list. This how, the professor will tell, okay, no, if you have a GPA of 3.5, then you don't need to write the GRE. Then you can add the school to your list right now. So this is how, based on the responses that you get from these directors, would help you to narrow down your schools. Are you getting it? Will help you to narrow down your schools. Now, imagine, let's say, finally, we've gotten our responses from these professors, the directors, and we know that, okay, University of Arkansas is ideal for us to apply. Now, what is the end goal, right? Or finally, what do I do to make sure that indeed I stand a better chance of not only getting admission, but also getting a scholarship? This is where what you call contacting or cold emailing professors comes in. Are you getting me? Cold emailing professors comes in based on your research interest, based on what you want to pursue or what you want to do. So, for example, let's say my interest is in, let's say, digital forensics, right? That's what I'm currently doing. And I know of the fact that my professor, that's Professor Passmore, is the one doing digital forensics in my lab. So I know. But basically, you don't know. Your interest is in digital forensics. So you want to find professors that are currently doing anything that has to do with digital forensics in information science. So you can go to this same ChatGPT and say, okay, my interest is in let's say digital F, right? List some professors who share a similar interest, right? Let's see. I'm sure definitely going to give me Professor Passmore, right? Just to make sure ChatGPT can be right. Great. Like I said, Rebecca Passmore. You see, so ChatGPT will give you a list of professors that will, share your research interest. Right now, we know we've already done with the school's requirement, what they're looking out for. You know that, okay, we can submit without any, documentation barrier and stuff, right? So this is Professor Passmore, who currently does something related to what? Digital forensics, right? We have also our Professor Philip Huff, the same thing, machine learning, anything that has to do with, cybersecurity and digital forensics. Now, You can ask ChatGPT who can directly, if you want to read much more about their research and what they are currently doing, you can ask ChatGPT to give you a link to their profile on the school's website, right? Or you can do it yourself. You can just copy the name and go to the school's website, and paste the name in their search button, right? Here. And you just click enter. Let's see what pops up. You see Dr. Rebecca Passmore. So you just come here, you open it, and there's her profile, right? So you read a lot more about her and what she's currently doing about digital forensics, right? Now, this is how you look for your potential supervisors based on your research interest or based on the current course that they're teaching. So imagine, let's say, you want to be a TA for a course like Introduction to Cybersecurity, right? You don't know any professor that does that. So you can just go, okay, I want to be a TA for this course. Which professor is currently undertaking Introduction to Cybersecurity? And trust me, it will lead you to this same professor. So based on your interests, would define the professor that you're going to look for using the search buttons, right? Now, when you have finally identified these professors, then that's where the cold email comes in. Are you getting me? So the cold email could be, oh, prof, I think I have a list of, I'd say this is a very confidential live. I have similar emails that I remember I shared some. Okay, let me share this. This email a friend of mine sent back in 2021, right? So this is an example of a cold email. Now, right now, let's say she identified a professor that is into political science, that's political instability and stuff, right? And she drafted this email to the professor. Now, you are contacting professor. This is how the cold email should be, right? He said, I'm Benis Owusu and I'm from Ghana. Now remember, this person has already done anything that has to do with the school's requirements, whether she's qualified to apply to the school, you know, and right now she's contacting the respective supervisors. Now, the reason why you're doing this is to test the waters to see if indeed you stand a better chance of getting a scholarship or a GA. And this GA comes from these professors or the department. So at the end of the day, you want to make sure that these professors know you, and in fact, you are positioning yourself above all other applicants. That's why you're doing this code emailing. And this is how best you can send a code email. So this person, I'm Benis Owusu and I'm from Ghana. I recently completed my undergrad degree with a strong second class upper. She stated a GPA, I think it was like 3.5 and above, from University of Ghana. As a component of my compulsory national service, I am working as a teaching assistant at the political science department at the University of Ghana and also filling in as an editor with Ghana Deluxe. I'm reaching out to you because our research interest enormously aligned, and to express my interest in your research group at University of South Mississippi. I took a relatable course like social and political theories, political institutions, electoral politics, democracy in Ghana. I have gained a considerable experience in the areas of political theory during my undergrad studies, as I served as an electoral executive for our 2020 general election. You see, this furnished me with understanding and assessing the political practices and institutions through political ideas and values like democracy and justice. I also intend with the planning unit in my district, Awutu Senya East Municipal Assembly. This experience, likewise, furnished me with an essential, let me see if I have the continuation here, with essential comprehension, of the participation procedures and conventions engaged with political decisions making in execution methods at the district and municipal level. During these times, however, I learned that even though elements of political democracy were involved in decision making to solve problems, especially through elections, yet there were serious issues of non-partisan, especially from the youth who seemed to be disengaged. Considering this, I've built a strong research interest in the area of democracy. This person at that time wrote this without AI. I can say this for a fact. And she's one of the best writers that I've ever come across. She's currently doing a PhD at the University of Alabama, Tuscaloosa. And I want you to look at how deliberate she was. She read a lot about the professor's research and identified a gap, right, that she wants to come and work on with her. Because I've seen people contact professors and will be like, oh, professor, please, I want to be part of a research team. I have seen professors also responding that, okay, you're welcome to be part of my research team, but you're not receiving, I don't have any funding for you. So this is how you sell yourself to them. And the idea behind this is that you are telling them that, in fact, you fit into their research team, right? And I don't want to continue reading this email, but what I want to say is that the email that this person got from this professor was that, yes, I'm willing to work with you. When are you available for a Zoom meeting? And that is what you are looking out for. That is the hook that you're looking out for. So when it comes out to be possible like that, you are telling, okay, then I've already secured myself a supervisor there. And trust me, there's no way, if let's say you're a professor yourself, let's say Baba or Dr. Lois, if you're a professor and this student send you an email like this with a GPA like that, trust me, you will definitely respond to this person, because this person is not just drafting an email. This is not by coincidence, this is not by deliberate, this is not by someone who's fake. She's telling you, and guess what? She also added her CV and transcript to it. You know, so when you send an email like this to your professor, and let's say the response comes out to be very positive, you can sit back home and say to yourself that indeed, if you apply to this university, not only do you only qualify for admission, you also qualify for scholarship as well. So this person has a very good response from the professors, and trust me, this happens to be the university that he eventually got scholarship to go and study in the US. All right, if anybody has a question, they can just go ahead and
Yeah,
ask.
there are a lot of questions in the comment section, so I'll just
Oh,
read
really?
it. Yeah.
I hope they are not coming after me.
Maybe. I'm just
They are
kidding.
coming after me, right?
No. Okay, so the first question for the day is that it's from someone from Facebook. It says, currently pursuing my Bachelor of Science. The person is from Pakistan, and he's
Oh, really?
Pakistan. Currently pursuing Bachelor of Science in Nursing, and want to pursue my master's study with fully funded scholarship. I think he asked at the beginning of the session, so I'm sure that you've been able to answer everything per the process that you took us through.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to answer, or we can just pass?
Oh, I mean, if I've already answered him, that's fine.
We've gone through the session. So, and someone is asking, can someone with an MBA apply to PhD programs?
Yes, of course. It depends on which PhD program she's looking out for. PhD programs, so I want to know what kind of PhD program she's probably looking for to pursue. It depends on the kind of PhD that the person wants to pursue, right? MBA, you know, it's really broad, right? So let's say if you did supply chain, if you did logistics, you can equally look into programs that has to do. If you did accounting, Georgia State is one of the best accounting programs. That's Robinson School of College. You can look into that. Can look into, but you need to. If you want to stand a very better chance, you need to write a GMAT. You know, that will really help you. Someone also said data analytics. What is that about data analytics? Nananyako. Supply chain management, right? So you can look into schools that offer supply chain management, data analytics and stuff. Robinson School, a lot of schools offer that. But if you really want to position yourself, I don't know what your GPA is, but if you want to position yourself, irrespective of your GPA, you need to write the GMAT or the GRE. For those areas, I know if you need to do that before you can get, it's very, very competitive. I need to write the GMAT or the GRE to get these scholarships here.
Okay. Another question says, if I wanted feedback on my current profile and how to position it for US scholarships, what's the best way to stay in touch with you after the session?
The best way to stay in touch with me is to this thing. You make promise to people and then they'll reach out to you and then you don't respond, and it's not easy. But I can let me just type down my email in the comment section. You can just reach out to me.
Maybe the person can reach out to us, then we reach out to you if it's...
Oh, no problem.
Yeah,
sure. That would also work as well.
Yeah, if it's a lot, the person can reach out to us then.
All right, that's my email right there.
Okay. And there's another question. I think you've answered it. If GRE is also really important for a master's program, a master's degree.
Yeah, I've already answered that. It's depending on your credentials will determine whether you need a GRE or not.
GRE. Yes. And another question is, with the WES evaluation, can you still submit it to schools that do not require them?
If the schools don't really require them, then there's no need for you to submit it. But if you think it's well accepted, in most schools. So if you think, let's say, imagine you don't want to, even if they don't really require, maybe you don't want to send your 2.5 GPA. Right now you have, by the West, you have let's say 3.0, right? So
Yeah.
you still don't want to use that 2.5 again. You still don't want to use that 2.8. You want to use the worst one. You can still use the worst one to apply.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so another question is, with the funding cuts in the US, how can one identify that a particular department has sufficient funds or the incoming cycle for the full length of the PhD program and not well, for so years, or a particular professor that has secured a grant regarding a particular project? Okay, is it possible to identify that?
If a particular professor has a grant,
Yeah.
it goes back to the code emailing, right?
Mhm, mhm,
So the code emailing, look, if they decide to have a Zoom meeting with you, she'll tell you, she'll lead to answering the question that they have grant
mhm.
or they have a GI available.
Yeah.
If they are willing to talk to you, discuss about their research interests, she'll tell you that of course they have some, they are
Yeah.
willing to work with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that goes back to that. That's how you'll be able to do it. Aside that, you can also go to the school's website and also that Cosmos that I just searched, Cosmos, you see their funds over there, $5 million every 2 years. You can look at professors that have grants. Professor Half himself, they have grants, but sometimes this, personally, I'm not benefiting from these grants because I'm an international student, and
Mm-hmm.
it's limited to people with only green card, right?
Great card.
So
Okay.
or permanent resident. So sometimes it might not be likely be. There's a high chance that even if they have personal grants, they might not be able to give it to you,
Mhm.
but they allow the department to assist you. Do you get my point? They allow the
Yeah.
department to come in to assist you as a GA. So that's how it works. So for you to be able to know, if you don't find the information on the website, is the fact that try as much as possible to, send in a very compelling code email. And you do that, when you have even if you have a meeting with the professor, you can ask him, right? That do you have any funds for, um, let's say GA students, sorry, master students or PhD students. Yeah, they will tell you for a fact that they have available slot for a PhD candidate or a master student. Yeah.
Okay. And when it comes to like sending of cold emails, which
Mhm.
documents should one attach? And do we necessarily need to attach documents to cold emails?
You have to, especially um irrespective of the kind of code email that you're sending, you need to attach your transcript to it. The professors will look at it and then eventually they will probably be like, oh, you're a good student. If
Mm-hmm.
you're scared of your transcript and you think you can sell your research idea much more, then you have to add your CV to it. Do you get my point?
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so at least you need to add something that would clarify or would guarantee, like I said, your credentials, would indeed say to the fact that or speak to the fact that what you're telling me in your code email is true. Are you
Okay.
getting me? So you need
Yeah.
to attach some documents to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
The CV or the transcript, or
Yeah.
maybe
Just.
your thesis,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
your thesis sample to
Okay.
it. Yeah.
Okay. And so if it happens that maybe the
Mhm.
person did not do project work in their level
Very
400,
good question.
but
Very
took
good
an
question.
additional course, does that affect your chance of securing
A
funding?
research, a research assistantship, right? That's very good question. I like this question because you know why? The code email that I just read to you guys, right, is the fact is coming from someone that didn't do any research during their undergrad. You know, they didn't do any research. She didn't do any research. So what she did was that she wrote an article, right after completion to leverage on that.
Mm.
You know, so it depends on what you want to leverage on. You should have something to negotiate on.
Yeah.
You should always have, for you to have a GA, have something to always negotiate on. You can leverage on you can negotiate on your GPA with your GPA. You can negotiate with your thesis. You can negotiate with maybe your internship, some experience that you had, right? You can negotiate. Depending on the the GA that you're applying for, have something to negotiate on. Do you get my point?
Yeah.
So unless you're applying for a residence life, you can negotiate on you having like some sort of leadership experience during your undergrad, right? If you're applying for a research assistantship, you can leverage on, let's say, your thesis. If you're applying for a TA position, imagine let's say you have a GPA of 2.8, but you have an A in this particular course. You
Mm-hmm.
can leverage on that
On
particular
the
course that you had an A
course.
and why they should probably accept you as assistant to that particular course.
Mm-hmm.
You know, So you should always have something to negotiate on. So imagine, let's say you didn't do a thesis. So right now, what do you have to negotiate on? Okay, do you want to write an article? If you don't have the time to write an article, what do you so what ask yourself, what do I have that I can negotiate on to have this assistantship position that I'm looking out for? Yeah.
Okay. So another question, I think we need to start wrapping up because
Okay.
it's almost 2 hours and I'm loving the conversation, but I'm sure a lot of people want to close and go and watch World Cup. Yes.
All right. Yeah. Sure. I get
Another
it.
question.
Mhm,
Another question is, when it comes to cold emails, should you
mhm,
focus on both your research proposal and your
mhm.
previous undergraduate research work? Because the person says, I sent emails to professors but haven't gotten any feedback yet.
So what happens is that, like I said, your email should be compelling enough. And trust me, it might probably be because of by accident that they've not replied, or it's not because your code email is very bad. It could be, right? That your code email is not compelling enough, right? If I say it's compelling enough, you've actually done your homework to see that indeed this code email is worth it. Someone can just copy one code email and be sending it to multiple professors. It doesn't work that way. You need to know, before one of the key things that helps me a lot in this life is that before I come to you, Baba, I need to make sure I know exactly what you want
What you want?
or
Yeah,
what you're looking out for. You
yeah.
know, so I can go on your school's website and read anything. Okay, Baba really needs it, right? I can go on your LinkedIn profile. Okay, Baba is really what is your current LinkedIn tweet? What is
Hmm.
I need to make sure you need to make sure you identify exactly what the department is looking out for or what a professor is looking out for, right? And how you can redirect your research interest into that area, right? So imagine, let's say you sent in a cold email to a professor that is currently working on a project that she stopped working on this like
Long
5 years
time.
ago.
Yeah,
There's no need for her to reply to you.
yeah,
It could also be that the professor is not currently accepting students this year or the particular year that there's no maybe she might not really respond to you, right? So my point is that trust me, you probably have professors that are very responsive and some that are not. And it's not because maybe your cold email is very bad. It could be for the fact that maybe they have not seen your email at all. It's
yeah,
probably maybe gone into their spam emails or probably they've not seen it, right? So they eventually reach out to you or they will not. But if they do not reach out to you, then that comes into the fact that I ask you to message the coordinators and ask them if they have a assistantship position available,
hmm,
right? So if that tells you, then in that, I've seen Baba's profile on their website. Baba is currently working within my field of interest, right? But Baba is not responding to me. It doesn't prevent me from applying to the school,
yeah,
if indeed I qualify and I have the materials to do so. So when you apply, eventually, maybe there are some schools that have a policy that they don't have to reach out to students prior to admission, decisions.
mm,
There are some professors that they don't need to, irrespective of whether you send code emails to them or not, they don't need to respond to you because prior to what they don't even have to want to, especially for PhDs, they will not even have a Zoom meeting with you at all because they just want to be fair to other students because they know how they can be bought, they can be bought when they have a Zoom meeting with you,
yeah,
right? That can probably give some advantage over some other applicants. So they don't want to reply to your emails at all. So they will not do it. So one thing that you do is that one thing that you have to say to yourself is that, okay, even though they didn't respond to me, but then as long as I had a code email from them, sorry, a response from them that they have a sponsorship available or they're accepting PhD students, obviously, then I can apply because my GPA will speak for itself, my credential will speak for itself. So I should apply. So you need to sit back and analyze yourself and see that, okay, do I still need to apply or not?
okay, okay. And there is another question from Facebook. So the question is about how to craft a good SOP without AI. And he said, can I cold email a professor using a good message crafted from AI or ChatGPT?
A
Since I
very,
know
a
that
very good question.
since I know
Yes.
that AI detection is a red flag for CV, SOP, and other documents, would they also use Turnitin to check the cold emails I sent?
It's actually based on professors' individual basis, right?
Hmm.
So imagine, let's say I used AI to craft my email, right? And the materials in it, the idea in it, right, are human input. Do you get my point?
Mm-hmm.
And the professor reads it, even though the professor knows it's AI written, but the message or the content itself is relevant. That is fine,
Yeah.
right? I do that a lot. Trust me. If 90% of emails that I've sent within the past months probably is probably drafted by AI, you know, because maybe probably I said I have some AI agents on my laptop that eventually if I send an email, it's just draft the email for me, I'll just be sending it. Do you get my point?
Yeah.
So it's fine. An AI write this SOP for you, and you are scared, like you said, of this, that maybe they might probably use some AI detectable tools, to identify, right? Just sit down and make it human in a human form.
Yeah.
So you just have to sit down and then do it yourself. Write it in pen, type it in pen. Type it by yourself. Make sure it's devoid of any AI detectable, traces, right?
Traces. Yeah.
Then you can equally submit to save yourself from these, fear that you have.
Yeah.
But as to whether the professors themselves will reject your SOPs or not, it's up to them,
Yeah.
right? Because trust me, in some field, they will tell you it's allowed. Because trust me, in my field, as an example, we embrace AI a lot. So if I'm to translate that into an application, area, obviously, if my supervisor is reviewing someone's SOP, right, she might be okay with someone using AI.
Mm-hmm.
Do you get my point? Because she's okay with a student using AI, right? As long as the idea is from you, she's okay with it. But some professors, my previous supervisor, trust me, the first thing she would do is to put it in an AI detectable tool. Dr. Susan, she hates AI to the core. That's the first thing she would do. So imagine, let's say you're contacting someone like that, irrespective of the content of the message, whether you've read about all her articles, as soon as she finds something like
Detect
something, she find out
AI.
that, yeah. So then it's for you to be on the safer side. You don't know these professors at hand, right? You don't know them. For you to be on the safer side, try and make it at least less detectable by AI.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. And there is also another question. If you had to give one piece of advice to a student from
Mhm.
Africa trying to break into top US scholarships, what would
Mhm.
it be? I think it's from Facebook. Yeah. A lot of questions are coming from Facebook.
So one advice that I can give, okay, just be very proactive, right? And be very intentional about everything that you do right now. And this study abroad journey is something that it's a full-time job. It's a full-time job in the sense that you don't need to relax, right? And watch, this information that I'm giving you, I didn't just come by magic. Do you get my point? It didn't just come by. And the reason I'm very consistent and have detailed information with everything that I'm doing saying is that it's something that I've eventually gone through them myself, or a friend of mine have also gone, or people that have actually gone through them myself, right? Do you get my, like I have personal experience with these things. So one advice that I can give you is that right now, every bit of information that you want is online. Do you get my point?
Yeah.
Spend every bit of your time, your data, your the material that you have, watching videos. Spend every bit of information about it. Ask a lot of questions. Join WhatsApp groups. Join some informative sessions online. If you come on TikTok, you preach about this a lot, right? So join this kind of ask every question that you have, irrespective of the responses that you get. Go online. One of the easiest way for you to become a master in this is to spend your time watching videos on YouTube
Yeah.
about study abroad. Watch every video that you find on YouTube. It tells you what to do. It tells, okay, right now I have this video is telling me to do this. That's how I can become a master in this, right? And eventually you can, get your dream materialized.
Thank you. And there is another question, last but one question. Thanks for
Yeah,
your
sure.
presentation. What are the chances of someone who already has masters and want to
Mhm.
do another masters in another field with a 3.0 CGPA during undergrad? So the person has done masters and
And
wants
wants to
to
do
do
another master's.
another masters with using the GPA from undergrad, which is 3.0.
It's fine. It's fine. As long as it's possible, it's possible. As long as no one is preventing you, then it's possible. You
Mhm.
can do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then, you'd have to, I don't know if you're targeting the US. a friend of mine, she's fine. He was happy that you got denied. So like, I can share the story here. Got denied in Canada because he was coming to do another master's here in the US, and he's currently the reason why they denied him was that he already had another master's and wanted to do another master's again. So the view was like, why don't you go straight ahead and pursue a PhD?
PhD, yeah.
So yeah, so if you want to come and do, and if you want to hide your master's and do another master's, it's fine, because you don't want to confront yourself with the US consular, and you find yourself in a space where you can't explain why you want to do another master's again. So it depends on you. You can still do it. If you want to hide the master's that you have and pursue another master's, it's possible.
Okay. And in terms of hiding your master's, it means that you don't tell them and you don't submit it. But what if they find out?
I mean, it depends on how they're going to find out.
Maybe they'll go on, maybe LinkedIn. I don't know. They can do background checks on you and
find out that you have a master. That's for the professors or the consular aspect.
Okay.
Okay, so like I said, like it's possible. You can probably go online and find. But in that case, what would probably make I as a professor, right, to go online and find out whether you have a master's already or not? I'll not do that.
Yeah.
So yes, so it's you can hide it, but at the US Embassy, you don't indicate it in any of your materials, your applications, your DS1, 60 and stuff. Then they will never know that you have a master's already. But if you indicate it, or there's sometimes you cannot also hide it, in the sense that, imagine, let's say you are in the UK right now, right?
Yeah.
And you're doing your PhD. You decide to go and let's imagine you're doing a master's right now. You're doing a master's right now, and you decide to come and do another master's in the US. If you confront yourself if you go to the embassy right now, they will ask you, why are you in the UK right now?
UK, yeah.
You came to the UK based on, let's say, your master's program, right?
Yeah.
So they'll know that you have a master's already. So that one you cannot hide it.
Yeah.
Because you are there on a master's, status, right?
Yeah.
So you cannot hide that. So you have to have a good reason of coming to do another master's again. By the way, when you're coming from Ghana, I think it's quite, convenient for you to do that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And the last question, then I will have some 2 or 3 questions from my end, then we close.
Okay. Oh, sure. Okay, good.
Yeah. So I'm very excited about your explanation. This is from Facebook. About your explanation on recommendation letter strategy you used, and I'll adopt it. Will my professor be the one to send the recommendation letter directly to them? That's the school that they're applying to. I think so, yeah.
Yes. So when you're applying, when you go to the school's website, right, they will ask you. You provide the professor's details in the school's application portal, and they will send a link to the professor to upload the recommendation in your name. So the professors will be the one to upload it.
Yeah.
Okay. That's how it works.
Okay. So just other informal questions about, not really, it's related to scholarship, but more about like daily life. So what was the biggest academic and I think social culture shock that you faced moving from Ghana to the USA? What are some of the cultural shocks that you faced?
The cultural shocks. It's really interesting. What are some of the cultural shocks? It has to do with the fact that let me say it this way, right? Let me put my bad side aside today.
Yeah.
And let me be very formal. If it's Dr. Lois, I'll do that, but if it's you, it's fine.
Yeah.
So, you imagine yourself in an environment where there's a short distance between you and what you have dreamt of or what you want to do. Imagine finding yourself in that environment. And imagine finding yourself in an environment where you are being paid to achieve what you want. I don't know if that counts as something that everyone can relate to this, right? Imagine coming from an environment where you are doing a PhD, right?
Yeah.
You are getting a degree from one of the prestigious degrees that you can ever have. That's a US degree, right?
Yeah.
and they're also paying you
Thank you.
to do it. And on top of that, you're also achieving your dreams.
Hmm.
Let me give you an example. I completed with a very nice WASI grade, right? But I didn't do elective maths, right? And I wanted to do economics so bad. But where I come from, because I didn't do just one course, I didn't get economics at University of
Yeah,
Ghana. Do you get my point?
yeah.
But imagine when I came here, right, and I finished with my master, and I said, oh, I wanted something more challenging. I didn't want to do this, theory stuff, right? Uh, Guess what? I was able to jump straight from not, I don't want to say to a STEM background, as a computer information science background, into a PhD program.
Mm.
Imagine if this would have been possible, would this
Yeah.
have been possible from where we come from?
No.
Are you getting it?
Yeah.
So these are some of the cultural shocks that I can probably share with everyone why there's a need for you to pursue this dream, right?
Mm.
Because you sit at the comfort of your home, all that you have to do is to learn to better your life. It's like I'm paying you, go and study, better your own life. You know, a friend of mine and I came in 2023, right? And he did business analytics, right? And guess what? As soon as he completed school, he got a job as operations manager at Amazon, right? And just last year, I was talking to me, I was telling me, you sit down and just take that normal stipend. You think you're okay. You see, he's telling me this right now. And I'm saying that, okay, imagine, let's say he's coming from an environment where these opportunities were not there,
Not there.
you know? So this, sometimes when I sit back, I'm like, oh, wow. Because if I wake up and I want to do something right now, all that I need is that all that the question that comes to me is that, okay, you don't have this, you cannot do it, can you do it?
Yeah.
That is it, because you go to your professors, they are willing to support you. You go to that, they are willing to support you. As long as you're willing to do it, they give you a lot of opportunities.
Opportunities. Yeah.
And when they see that you're academically good, trust me, they will give you the support, the maximum support that you need. I can tell you this for a fact. And aside that, there are some other life things that you can achieve that would have been a very long distance
Difficult
back
to
home.
you. Yeah.
It's different. Some basic things like a laptop. I remember this incident so bad that anytime that I recall, it sounds funny, right? There was this time that I was going to pay my fees at the bank, the GT Bank opposite to University of Ghana. And at that time, I needed a laptop so bad. So I was on a phone call with my dad. And I was like, I needed that, but and I'm a child. So like, I just cut a conversation. And my dad started laughing. He's like, what is it? I'm like, I don't know why I'm asking for a laptop because you don't be able to give you the money to buy a laptop. But when you come here, the schools can even give you a laptop for free.
Yeah.
Yes, so you can get a laptop for free. These things shouldn't serve as a barrier between you and your success. Do you get my point?
Mm-hmm.
Imagine, even if you take a stipend of let's say 2,000 as a PhD student, 2,000 a month, I pay my rent and everything, my living expenses and everything. Let's say 1,000, I still have $1,000 left, right? To cater for myself and my family back home. You're able to support your parents, your brothers, your sisters, in whatever that they want to do. So for me, I don't want to define a culture shock by negative,
Yeah.
accountants. I want to define a culture shock by
A
some of the positive
positive.
accountants that
Yeah.
that is why I want you to come. Do you get my point? Yeah.
Nice. Nice. Wow. Very. How would I put it? I think I'm motivated. Like
Mhm.
it's I've not really thought about it from that angle, like the
Mhm.
positive culture shock. Because for me, when I came to Austria, one of the culture shocks that I had was the language. Like
Okay.
it was very difficult for me to adjust to their language because they speak German, and I had to
Yeah.
like learn like and there were certain things that like in Ghana like they have like different educational system, so it was
Mhm.
very difficult for me to adjust, but at the long
Mhm.
run I was comfortable with it. So it's very nice to like see the positive like cultural
Mhm.
shock that you had, and I'm very impressed and inspired, yeah, that was the word. And
Mhm.
one last question, are there post-study work opportunities in the US for international graduates? And what should students know about the OPT and H-1B pathway?
Oh, okay, that's a great question. So, like I said, so when you complete, right, the job market was somewhere very, very, shaky right now. But if you complete school and you want to work as an international student, there's something called OPT, right? That's optional practical training. So this is where if you're in a STEM field, you are entitled to a 1 year postgraduate work permit, right? That you can work with any company that you want. Let's put the political, consequences aside right now.
Yeah.
Let's take it how general what it's supposed to be. So when you are done with your masters, they give you a 1 year. If you apply to a job, they'll give you a 1 year OPT. That's optional practical to go and then work to get a hands-on experience, right? And whilst you're working, when the company is satisfied with your output, then they can sponsor you through the H-1B route, right? That's a resident permit to stay here to work. Yeah, for I think that's for 3 years and it's renewable for another 3 years as well. So when you are in a STEM field, you are entitled for 1 year OPT plus additional 2 years, making 3 years, right? But when you're in a non-STEM field, you're only entitled to 1 year post, work permit after school. So that is how the OPT and the H-1B system works. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Dr. Lois wants to know, he said, we really want to know how you did the
Mhm.
psychology jump to
Mhm.
information
Mhm. Information
studies.
science, yeah.
Yeah, information science. Briefly,
Mhm.
did you take some courses? Did you have to
Mhm.
write a strong
Mhm.
SOP to inform the
Mhm.
professor of the career switch? It's a lot of people struggle. So how did you do it? What's magic? What trick? Can you give us the recipe?
It's quite interesting, because when I finished, right, like I said, I work on this project with a professor that was in the information science program, right? That we collaborated on an AI in academic lecture review project. So when we did that, I I had this kind of connection with him already, you know. So when the time came for me to switch into to different programs, like I said, I applied to PhD. I didn't want to switch first of all, but I wanted to do a PhD in something more, data science related to human behavior and stuff, right? So I applied to a PhD in Wisconsin Madison. That's data science and human behavior, and a PhD in quantitative human behavior at Georgia State and Montclair State University. That's clinical psychology. And when I got accepted, I finally settled on Georgia State. But I was confronted with this whole new, inconveniences about paying some tuition at Georgia State and stuff. So it had to make me come back to University of Arkansas again. So when I came back, remember I've already rejected a PhD offer in my department. So they were not willing to accept me again. And I was really stranded at that time. Then I linked back to this professor that I worked with, that this is what I'm looking forward to. Today it was like, and I didn't know they have an information science program like that here. So the information science program is very broad. At ULR is very broad, right? They have data science, they have cybersecurity. Even under cybersecurity, they have three concentrations: AI, cyber operations, and digital forensics. So digital forensics was something that was actually related to my area of expertise, right? That's coming from my previous background. Because what I'm currently doing, it's more or less like the digital aspect of what I previously did about human behavior, you know. So that is how I was able to, reconnect to the information science department, right? Computer information science department. So when I went to this Professor Passmore one time, and I was like, I've seen that you're doing areas, but I want to look at how we can apply the human aspect to understanding the whole psychological idea behind this digital forensics and stuff, right? And he was like, oh, okay, cool. I should go and see the coordinator. So the coordinator was like, okay, fine. Then since you have a master's already, apply to our PhD program, right?
Yeah.
So for my first semester, that's last year, I took some foundational courses. That's data science fundamentals. I took data science programming or data science analytics, that's programming, to have given me the leverage, in Python. Already I had already got some previous, courses from Udemy and stuff about Python programming and stuff. So I took these foundational courses to give me the leverage to get my hands on how to deal with data and stuff. Yes, that's how eventually I got myself into. So obviously I was allowed to take some prerequisite courses,
Yeah.
even though I had some knowledge about it already, but they didn't really care about that. I took them, and then eventually I was able
Wow.
to get into the information science program. So that's how it worked out.
That was a long but very good way. Like it was a long path through it.
Yeah.